All right, Viking fans, it's Packers week. It's time to set the Packers packing next in 3, 2, 1. Gather around, Skull brothers and sisters. This is Skull World Live, brought to you by Minnesota Sports Talk. My host, Justin from Purple and Gold for Days. Let's get going. Packer week. What do you got to say about it, Justin?
You want to know what I say about this? I am so comfortable in my thoughts that the Vikings are going to win this game that I'm nervous. I should be way more nervous about the Vikings playing the Packers in Lambeau Field in January, not at noon, but I feel confident in this game. And so I'm so confident that I've made myself nervous. I've psyched myself out because the Vikings should win this game, and they should win it rather comfortably, which is the one thing you say right before the Vikings rip your heart out. So that's why I'm nervous, is because I shouldn't be this confident. I shouldn't be this chill. What do you say?
Man, I'm almost indifferent about this game. I'm like, hey, it's on the road. It's late in the season. We got a home field advantage game in the playoffs. It's like we haven't been here in a while, so we don't really remember how to act. Like, when was that? 2017, right? Or did we?
Right.
Yeah, we didn't win the division in 19, so
right.
It's weird, man. I don't know how to feel about it right now. Where you're going in, today I was supposed to have a Packers fan on. They came down with being sick. I'm a little sick myself, so I said, hey, no problem. He's willing to come on later this week if he feels better. But I said, right. Yeah, definitely when we win, I'll have you on just to talk about it. But I don't. It's almost you don't know how to feel because we haven't been there in a while. Let's see who we got in here. Hey, McAndrews, what's up, man? Get ready for the game. Let's go. I forgot you got to actually click on these. But, I don't know how to feel about it right now. I'm just like, hey, we should win. They played some bad teams, and then a Tua that had a concussion, throw 3 picks at the end of the game. Otherwise, they weren't doing well in that game, in the first half for sure, against the Dolphins. So it's a game we should win. The weather is coming out for us, although, 10-mile-an-hour winds, whatever. That's typical Midwest shit. But, there's nothing crazy about the weather in this game that should interfere. And I think Patrick Peterson says it himself. He says, I'm not cold in these games because I go out and play for 15 seconds and I come back, 5 minutes, and I come back to the heaters. So there's nothing going to be super cold about this game. Nothing super windy about this game. It's 0% chance of precipitation. It's crazy perfect weather for a late in the year game at Lambeau, which I did not anticipate when the schedule came out. I thought how crappy of a year, schedule it was with the last 2 games being away at Lambeau and then Soldier Field.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, I think 3 weeks ago, the Packers were 4-8, and it was looking like they were completely dead in the water. They were dead in the water for the division. We all know that, Feliz Navidad and Happy New Year. But I will say that winning 3 games, they get a win today. Theoretically, they would be 500. They get a win against the Lions. They would be a game above 500. And with a little help, they can snatch that 7 seed.
Yeah, the situation is that they win both games and then the Commanders lose 1. They make the playoffs.
Correct. The only other scenario, I believe, I was going to say if the Giants had lost twice, they wouldn't. That opens up a spot. But they're up 38-10. So to your point, if the Packers lose today to the Vikings, they still have a minuscule needing 17 things to happen outside chance. So if the Commanders do come back and win today and the Packers lose, I do believe that there's still a scenario. But if Commanders lose, even if the Packers lose, there's still a scenario. But there's a bazillion machinations that we won't get into. I'm sure we'll talk about that on our shows during the week here. So what's up, Robert? Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you.
Let's
But
go,
yeah,
man.
no, this Packers team is the definition of mediocre. They are what the Vikings were in 2000 and 2021. 2021, they weren't in, they're not in the same
20 and
number of
21.
close games. But take a look at the Vikings 2000 season, and that really does remind me of the Packers. We got eliminated on Christmas Day with the New Orleans massacre. That was Alvin Kamara. What was it, 6 touchdowns or whatever?
I'm 20.
Right.
Keep
And
saying,
so at the end of it, that's what the Packers remind me of right now. What's up, Pops? How you doing? Yes, that is my father.
hey, Mr. Day.
Mr.
How
Dave.
you doing, man?
Thanks for popping in.
You call him all day like I do?
I mean, I think Mr. Day would probably, one of these times, if you're ever up in Minnesota, we go to a game, and we hang out for a weekend and introduce you, then maybe you'll, no, I'm just kidding. No, whatever you want.
Hey, a little update on the 1 seed. The Saints were winning 13-0. They were they could have went up 20-0, but or at least 16-0, but they screwed up. The Saints, only thing holding them on right now is their special teams, because in the ref screwing the Eagles on a long run. They call the holding play, but
right.
Eagles are at midfield and driving, so they could easily go up here and snatch the 1 seed for good. Yeah,
I'll ask you this question.
Third and 4. Third and 4, stuffed, short.
All right.
So they may go for it on 4th down here. Yeah, I bet they do.
Yeah, this reminds me. That gets back to that Detroit Lions game and why that loss was a little disheartening, because we don't want to spend too much time. There's no point crying over
quarterback sneak, and it. Oh gosh! Oh, they caught him short.
Did they?
Yeah, it looked short, man. The spot looked short. Not good for him.
No.
Wow. They gave up the ball at midfield. That's awesome.
Well,
the reason why I'm kind of happy about it is because we do, we got a couple records still out there.
Right.
And if we're full go against the Bears, I think the remainder of the Viking records are going to fall.
Well, that's a very good point. I mean, what I said in my musings and what I said in the Thursday night Super Show, which was Skull for Days meets Skull Live, myself, Mike, Rap, and SK. I just want JJ to get the record today. Just put up 250 on Lambeau Field and make us all happy with a W. And I don't want JJ out there next week. That's why I want him to get the records, get to 2,000 today. Again, it's a heck of an ask. It's not like, 250 is, nothing to sneeze at. But I'd love for him to get that record. And if we don't have anything to play for, I would love for him to not be playing next week in Chicago. But you know what? If San Francisco wins today and the Vikings hold serve, you got to play it out next week in Chicago, because if you lose, the 49ers would have the tiebreaker on you. So,
yeah, the only reason I would want to play that last game is to get a bye. But if we don't, and that was my video earlier in the year, is like that, hey, the Bears would be a bye game for our our starters. You know what I'm saying? If we didn't have a chance the 1 seed and we had the 2 seed locked up, the Bears game would be our bye, and we'd have to win 3 games. But at least we wouldn't have to play both the Cowboys and the Eagles. We would just play one of them. So in a situation of winning the 1 seed, we could play both of them. And that was my thought process behind it. But if we got the 1 seed, yeah, I'll take a bye. But hey, but playing, but right here, I always prepared. Justin Jefferson receiving yards, 208 yards from breaking the NFL record, which he could do in 1 game. He could do the 2K in 1 game. That would set a Vikings record again, which he's already broken this year, 244 yards. The reception record, little farther out of reach. You'd have to have 2 of his biggest games back to back. I think the 2 biggest games he's ever had in receptions back to back. Hey, what if he has a 15 reception game, breaks the receiving records, and then goes and throws up 11 catches the next week? He's now tied as the leader of reception records against the Bears.
Well,
so there's thought there.
It's about winning in the playoffs. It's about winning a Super Bowl. It's not about can we get
Yeah, but
Justin
this is just icing on the cake, man.
It's absolutely icing on the cake, and that's where I'm going with it, which is, hey, put up 244 or 250 today, and then we don't have to think about it.
I would love him to break that record in 16 games, man.
And
it's kind of like
Lambeau
Roger
Field.
Maris. It's kind of like Roger Maris. You know, he had 8 extra games than Babe Ruth. And then, you know, that 61 is still special, but he had 8 more games. And hey, Jay McCoy Skull. And then we got,
how you doing?
Records are cool, but I want to win. Of course.
Yes.
But why can't we talk about it?
Well, right.
It's fun to talk about.
Right. We got, you know, that's the beautiful thing about being fans is we can think ahead. You know, for example, I was talking to Mike for a short time in the Spaces yesterday. We were talking about the Carolina Panthers. Is it better for them at 6-9 to win their last 2 games to get to 8-9 just to be Dallas's sacrificial lamb, which is going to put you at least the 20th draft pick? Or are they better losing their 2 games, getting to 6-11 and staying in the top 10? I mean, why would you want to go to the playoffs this year if you're Carolina? You traded away Christian McCaffrey because you thought you were packing in the season, and you are only in this position because you are in the most garbage division in football. But as a player, you're not going to say that. As a player, you want to win every game you play, get in the playoffs, and see what happens. As fans, you know, we would look at it. So that's where we're going, Robert, is as fans, it's just like, yeah, if the Vikings are up by 21 points, I know it's strange credulity that this Vikings team, other than against Chicago at home, would be up 21 points, and we certainly didn't hang on to it. If they're up 21 points in the fourth quarter and Justin Jefferson's got 150 yards, I'm not keeping Justin Jefferson out there to get 100 more yards. I'm sitting him down. I'm sitting Kirk Cousins down until something happens where you need to put them back in. But, yes, records are nice, but victories are more important. Setting yourself up for playoff positioning is more important. So I do wish, like I said, we had that Lions game. If we had that Lions game, we'd be tied with the Eagles, and we would be, if with a victory today, we would have clinched the 2 seed. And at that point, we could use the Bears game as that pseudo bye that we were talking about. But alas, they got to play it out.
And you got to think about it. If he doesn't break those 2 records last week, do we win the game? But
True.
You know, and he broke a Vikings record and lost the game against the Detroit. So one does not mean the other. So
True.
Yeah. And what do we got here? Sodak Kid, do you think they will blitz more than they did last week? I don't think so, because they blitzed more than they ever had the entire year. So I think that might be the recipe for what they want to do and keep doing it.
Right.
I think they sprinkled it out throughout the game and did make some plays when necessary, and again solidified in the fourth quarter. And just, you know, like they have in all the other come from behind victories, you know, and that's one thing that I know there's commentators still out there saying frauds. Please explain it. And what can we explain? But it's a 4-quarter game. You can play, you know, sporadically throughout the game and get some touchdowns on 3 or 4 drives, have have several 3 and outs, even in a row. As long as you came and dominate, you can dominate 1 quarter and win a football game. And that's what the Vikings have. We've, you know, I think Kirk Cousins is leading the league in yards and touchdowns in the fourth quarter this year. And he's second in a couple others. It's like, you know, we're getting it done, and our defense is showing up in the fourth quarter. Our offensive line is protecting us in the fourth quarter. It seems like everything's is coming together in the fourth quarter.
Which, again, it's never a bad thing to be the number 1 in the league in fourth quarter point differential. Everybody want to talk about the Vikings are, you know, 12-3. And
let me make a point here. Is better than what we were in that last year when we were leading the league in the first quarter.
Yes, exactly. I would rather be a fourth quarter team than a first quarter team. Yes. You know, the whole adage of, well, how many times have the Vikings had these miracle comebacks? Well, it's because they're behind in the fourth quarter. And, you know, you can make the argument that you're playing with fire a lot, and it's not sustainable until all of a sudden it is sustainable. They have found a way to keep this sustainable. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know how much longer they're going to do it. All I know for right now is that they're doing it. And I agree. The Vikings, if they lose, will be called frauds because they lost to. What's funny is now that the Packers have won 3 games in a row, they're back to being the media darling, and Aaron Rodgers is starting to figure it out with his wide receivers, and this defense is playing better because they were a preseason favorite to be a top 5 defense, and the offensive line's coming together. Okay, if you're going to go with that this week, and the Vikings beat the Packers,
take over for me quick, okay?
Yeah, I got you. If the Vikings beat the Packers, who have just been crowned champions for 3 games in a row, beating Miami last week with a concussed Tua, throwing 3 interceptions in the last 3 drives. The week before that, you beat the Rams, who are pretty much packed it in, regardless of the fact that they put up a 50-burger against the limited Broncos. I don't care. And the week before that, they played the mediocre to bad Chicago Bears. Okay, and then we want to talk about how the Packers are finding a way to win close games and get battle tested for the playoffs. Okay, congratulations. That's what we've done since week 5. Okay, so all of a sudden the Packers are going to get credit for what the Vikings are being called frauds for. That's amazing how that works. Who else we got in the chat here? I'm going to get one of these here. Dave Thibodeau, thanks for joining us. I think the Packers are going to double JJ. Let them double JJ. This is why I love this version of Kirk Cousins. Since coming under the tutelage of Kevin O'Connell, this time last year with Clint Kubiak and Mike Zimmer, if JJ was doubled, they'd say, okay, they've taken him away. We can't throw in double coverage on him. JJ's been double covered a lot this season, not necessarily week 1 against the Packers where they didn't cover him at all. But I don't care if JJ's double. If they want to double him the entire game on every offensive snap, that's going to open up TJ Hawkinson. It's going to open up Dalvin Cook. It's going to open up Thielen and KJ. If they are going to say, we're going to put 2 guys on JJ the entire game, not sometimes here and there, a lot of stuff's going to be opened up. Like I said, we did not have TJ Hawkinson game 1. We had Irv Smith. And, I'll go back and look and see how many, targets and receptions Irv Smith had during that game. I don't believe it was all that many. Give me just a quick second here and pull that up. Irv Smith, 0 receptions, 0 yards, 2 targets. I seriously doubt that TJ Hawkinson is going to be in that case. So, yeah, you know what? Teams have doubled JJ. And you know what? This year, with Kevin O'Connell in charge and Kirk Cousins feeling more comfortable taking risks, double coverage doesn't mean we can't throw at Justin Jefferson. I'm not saying throw it at Justin Jefferson every single play when he's double covered and force bad passes into, opportunities, but you don't have to be afraid to do so. So thanks for the question, Dave. I am life. The Packers can try. The Packers can try, but I think the Vikings are going to go up top. Why? Because the Packers are always too cocky. Yeah, well, I don't know what's more cocky, Packers or Packers fans. Who knows? But well, what do you think, Dave, on the question that has been that Dave pointed out
on
about
the Packers double JJ?
Yeah.
So I did a little video talking about Jair Alexander saying, you see, when the game ended the week 1, he was like complaining about how he didn't get to follow him all over the field. Right. And apparently since then, they've mixed a little more man-to-man with him actually following number 1 receivers around the league.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, let's do it. Because if you're following around the league, or you're following, if we're going to move JJ, because they said that in his interview, that we move JJ around. The coach said that in the interview, that we move JJ around. And if Jair Alexander is following him, that's man. We know it's man, and there you have it. We now they've just telegraphed what defense they've had. So yeah, do it all day long. Follow JJ all around, all the way around. We got TJ Hawkinson. People have been saying that some of our receivers aren't playing well. Honestly, I think we've been conservative. We've been not throwing the ball downfield. We haven't been opening up the offense. I think that has hurt our second and third and fourth receivers, not to mention JJ's taken a lot of that, that yardage and receptions away from the rest of our team. If you go look at our 98 team and you add up the whole 3 deep thing, you probably have more yards between our top 3 receivers than we did in 98. That's how crazy it is. That's how crazy a season Justin Jefferson is. So yeah, I say man man him up all day long. I don't care. Thielen can catch the ball. He's gotten open. I think he had probably his worst game in the year last week, and I think he's looking to redeem himself. But having TJ Hawkinson, just go man to man against a 5'10", 6 foot, cornerback, I say do that all day, man. Do it all day long.
And that's why I'm feeling confident in this game. You want to play a defense where you're double teaming Justin Jefferson the vast majority of the game? Like I said, Dalvin Cook, TJ Hawkinson.
Two-edged sword, man.
You want to play man-to-man the whole game? Fine. I'll take that too. I will absolutely take that too. Because this is the only thing about this season, about the offense, that needs improvement is on occasion the offensive line turns into a pumpkin and turns into what it was last year. And on occasion, our guy Kirk Cousins will not realize that he can't stand there and pat the ball for 5 seconds. That's the one thing. That's the only thing about the game last week that I'm going to say, like, dude, you can't stand there and pat the ball. Your offensive line is better, but it's not the 95 Dallas Cowboys. So he's got much better pocket awareness overall. So don't get me wrong. He's also got, the last couple of years, first couple of years he was with the Vikings, when he would get blindsided, he would fumble. He's really taking care of that issue. He rarely ever fumbles the ball anymore, even when he is getting sacked. So
yeah, I'd say 2020 he started taking care of that. That was my biggest complaint about in 18 and 19 is that he was, forcing the ball if we were late and down,
right,
and then he was holding the ball too long, and he would get strip sacked. That was my experience watching him in 18 and 19, and what we had one come from behind victory in those 2 years.
Right.
But let's see here. Philadelphia just gave up pick 6.
Oh,
awesome.
Nice. What's up, Game? What's
I
up,
was watching that, man.
Skull Mafia is in the house. What's up, Mafia? Thanks for joining us. We very much appreciate it. Jay McCoy, thanks for joining us. That Jair sounds like a clown. Listen, I don't mind confidence, but there is a very fine line between confidence and cockiness. And as I said on my Musings Wednesday, Jair Alexander should go watch The Last Dance, because when anybody tried to trash talk Michael Jordan, it was a bad idea. It was so bad an idea that Michael Jordan would make stuff up in his head that he was being trash talked when he really wasn't, because that's what motivated him. Now, I'm not saying JJ is at Michael's level yet. He's number 1 in the league right now, but he's not a transcendent wide receiver as of yet. But the point is that you let sleeping dogs lie. You don't go poking that bear. Why would you do such a thing? Why don't you come out and say something like, yeah, he's the best wide receiver in the league, and we didn't do a very good job in the first game, and we need to be better. And I think, over the course of the season, we figured some things out, and we're going to show that, him going for that many yards against the Green Bay Packers in the first game, was probably more than it should have been. You say it like that, you're still saying the same thing. You come out and say it was a fluke. Come on. That's just dumb. That's just dumb.
Yeah. With, saying that it was a fluke, that's like, that's opening up yourself for locker room material. They say at the same time these guys are saying that we're not even looking at week 1. Oh, and then they say, hey, we're watching some plays and we're gonna, we're learning from our mistakes. In the same freaking breath, they're saying they didn't pay week 1 no mind and are yet watching film on it to learn from their mistakes. It's just silly. Thank you, Jair, for any motivation you wanted to give us. Right. He is, since he got shut down for a couple of weeks there, there's like 2 or 3 games that, he didn't get 100 yards. He was more like 40 yards. He is burnt some of the nice, some really good cornerbacks for hundreds of yards. So, hey, you'll just be another one like you guys were in week 1, where he had 186 or 84 yards and 2 touchdowns.
What's Robert asking here? Can somebody spot me a Jair Alexander translator rate? I can't understand it. Well, okay.
Well, it was a little rough, but jump in some super suit and jump outside. And it was.
Yeah, the point was that he was dumb enough to try and talk JJ some trash. And, to your point about motivation, it's going to motivate JJ. I don't know what this deal is with him suspending or canceling his Twitter account right now. And, You know what? If he's
Did he?
saying, yeah, he shut down his Twitter account.
That's
a
awesome.
couple days ago. So if that's him saying, hey, I'm not going to be distracted. I'm ultra focused with 2 games left in regular season. Fine. I'm cool. All right. All right. To answer your question about 3 deep versus 3 deep. Now, again, you know, we got to remember that 1998 and 2022, we're talking about 24 years of evolution of the league. Okay. For example, 1998, you take 24 years away, and that's 1974. Obviously, 3 deep in 98 is going to blow 74 out the water. So I'm kind of saying the question was, how many yards does 3 deep 1 versus 3 deep 2 have? And 3 deep in right now, and we're
it's
going
like
to go
1 deep.
Well, okay, top 3 receivers for the Vikings right now have 2,922 yards. Now, the 98 Vikings, and just so that everybody knows how I did this, is about 92 yards ahead of their pace. Now, again, 92 Vikings have already played their 16th game, obviously. And I did combine the combined yardage of Jake Reed and Matthew Hatchett, since Jake Reed missed so many of those games, and Hatchett filled in for him. But to your point, yes, after the game today, they will have passed yardage-wise that trio in 1998.
Oh, we're talking about what I said?
Well, no, you said that a minute ago.
You said there was a question.
No, you said a minute ago you think that the current Vikings trio has more yardage than the 98 trio, and I'm agreeing with you. I was passing along that, yes.
Put in TJ Hawkinson's full year numbers.
Okay,
we only had him for half a season. So, I mean, if we have TJ Hawkinson for a full season, we're blowing it out by close to 400 yards.
Well, you know what? We're blowing it out.
We're 1 game away. I'm just saying that's a real thing. And, but the reason being, and my point was not to compare the 3 deep to us having a 3 deep, but was to compare the fact that, holy crap, Justin Jefferson having a crazy ass year, which he broke the record Randy Moss set in that year. No, he did he set it that year?
No, I think it was a rookie record, but I don't think it was.
Yeah, that was his rookie record, which like 13 something yards. And now he's in, well, you know, and then to be fair, this is Justin Jefferson's 3rd year.
Right.
But anyways, that Chris Carter was on that team. Jake Reed had like 700 and some yards. So the fact that was 3 deep was more, you know, how good the offense is doing. But hey, we got a guy with 700 yards right now, and that's Adam Thielen, you know, close to it. So it's not that crazy of a, and TJ Hawkinson may end the season with 1,000 yards. He's like, I have it here, but you combine his Detroit numbers, and he's like 900. He's close to 900 right now.
He's only like 30 yards behind KJ Osborne for his time with the Vikings.
With the Vikings, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I have that here. This is KJ Osborne. He's got, 30 more yards, and both him and Thielen only had 1 catch last week.
Right. And that's got to change. As much as we love what JJ is doing, as much as we want him to get all kinds of NFL records, that's all well and good. But this offense needs to diversify, because right now the passing game is JJ 1, TJ Hawkinson 2, and scraps left over for Adam Thielen and KJ Osborne. Now, I have no issue with TJ Hawkinson being the number 2 pass catcher, because he's over the middle, and JJ's going to open that up for him. But the team needs to spread around some of these passing yards, because somehow, some way, if a team takes away Justin Jefferson, we haven't seen. I mean, we did in the Colts game, but everything happened in that Colts game because you were in such desperation mode that you had to throw all caution to the wind. I want to see this team, by and large, have a little bit more balance offensively, particularly in the passing game. And let's talk about Dalvin Cook here. We haven't talked about this running game at all here. We got about 25 minutes left. To me, one more time, just like in the Detroit Lion game, where we said the Detroit Lions are terrible against the run, the Packers are terrible against the run, and Dalvin Cook needs to feast on this. What do you see from Cook? And why do you think he hasn't had – I know he's getting older, but is it him? Is it the offensive line? What do you see today, and why do you see him having struggled a little bit?
Well, what I've seen is various games where our running game was not in sync. I also thought the lack of creativity. So there's been some games. I don't think it's been Dalvin Cook being less of a running back. I don't. And one of the things I'll throw in there is that he's not missed a game this year, knocking on wood again.
Right.
And and the fact that his 4.5 yard average he's done that before. That's probably his lowest, but he's been 4.5 before, and he was 5.0 for a while there until he had two really bad games where honestly our offensive line wasn't blocking. There were it wasn't very good, and we weren't very creative. When he started running the ball outside, doing that pitch play, things like that, it started opening it up. He was getting big chunk yardage. Dalvin Cook is not a 4 yard in a pile of dust running back. He's a big chunk, big play guy. And I think it's a learning process with O'Connell. Yeah. Is that same way with the offense? He opens up in the fourth quarter. Well, why doesn't he do it the whole game? Well, he's finding himself out as a play caller. He's the running game. I think going into next season, he's going to be a little more consistent, and we have more timing down. We'll understand our offense a little bit better. It's like, hey, we're missing our left tackle. Okay, let's have TJ, help out. Let's have the running backs, chip block. Well, it's like they forgot to do that. Mm-hmm. Knowing that they were going to be without our left tackle for 3 weeks. So I think that's just a complete learning process, and that's why Dalvin Cook is having a down year, is top 6 in the league in rushing. He's not having a down year.
Right.
It's all relative to the rest of the league, just like I've talked about Kirk Cousins being 5th in passing and 4th in touchdowns. He's never done that for us before, right?
Very true.
So let's it's all relative to the rest of the league, and Dalvin Cook is right there with the rest of the league.
I'm just saying for right now, last 2 weeks of the season anyway, or maybe, today, and we'll see what happens if we, clinch something today. I seriously doubt we're clinching the 2 seed today because, again, the Raiders are an absolute dumpster fire. They have decided to bench Derek Carr. And
oh, God, yeah.
I don't see how in the world that team beats San Francisco, and I don't see how Arizona beats San Francisco next week. So, yeah, the Vikings, if they want that 2 seed, are going to have to play it out. And, somebody's asked, the question's been asked, are the Vikings better off taking, 25 of their best players and resting them in Chicago, even if all they need to do is win to get the 2 seed to ensure, some additional health? Or should they play it out, playing on Soldier Field in second weekend in January against a team that has always given us trouble there? And to that, I say yes. I say if there is something to play for, you play for it. Because, again, whether we are the 2 or the 3 seed in the wild card round, we're either going to face New York, Washington, or slight possibilities of Green Bay, Detroit, and Seattle. Those 5 teams are interchangeable to me. So it's not about the wild card round. You should beat any one of those 5 teams playing at home. It is about if you are the 3 seed and have to travel to San Francisco. I think San Francisco coming here is about a 55-45. I'll give the Vikings about a 5% edge there, around a 50-50. But you take this Vikings team, as magical as it has been and as ridiculous as it has been, I put our chances of winning in San Francisco no better than 25%. And that might be generous. What do you think?
I don't think many people have traveled well to San Francisco, so it wouldn't be like a stain on anybody's legacy to lose in San Francisco against that team. And but yeah, I would obviously much like 10 times would rather have us play at home. So yeah, that 2 seed's important. And the good news is that Lions dropped 41-10 on them today, even though the Bears were up early. But yeah, so hopefully, what does the Bears got to win but play spoiler against us?
Yeah, and screw their draft picks.
Yeah, and screw their draft pick. So I don't know how much they'll be up for it. So it could be a situation where we're up early. And what do they got to play for? Mm-hmm. Just like everybody was wishing that we played Kellen Mond in the second half last year. Or we bench Cousins and play Kellen Mond to see what we had. Many Viking fans are complaining about that. I might have been one of them. I wanted to see him play. I didn't say, I was fine with Kirk Cousins starting that game, but I was like, why aren't we playing, especially how it started.
Right.
because we were dog crap that first beginning of that game. And I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And that's the kind of thing that but we had a coach playing for his job. We got they got a brand new coach, brand new GM. They got a little room to play with here. They should be thinking about their future, not about winning the last game of the season. So I don't know. I really don't know. But we know that the GM is like, and the coach is going to want to play everybody because he wants to win on his record.
Right.
But the GM is going to be like, hey, this is the long-term plan. But I don't know. Their GM's kind of a wild card. We're going to win the North and never give it up. So he's a former player. He probably wants to play, So yeah, I think if I had anything to say about it, they're going to try to play spoiler, put a feather in their cap. So we got to go in. We're probably going to have to go in there and win the game to keep the 2 seed. Hey, miracles can happen. The Raiders could win this game. I don't think so.
Well, very good point that's been put in the chat by David. The Eagles did, in fact, lose to the Saints. So now, once again, had we beat Detroit, we would control our destiny. But now, if we win today, as we anticipate we will, now you got to play it out because you have a chance at the 1 seed. Now, to your point,
true.
To your point about maybe we're better off being the 2 seed so that we can avoid Dallas, you're leaving out the possibility that Washington or New York could upset San Francisco or the Eagles. But to your point, you're right.
My point is I either wanted one bye or the other. But if it's not going to happen, then I'm going to definitely get the 2 seeds so we get 2 home games.
Right.
Eagles lost today. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thanks for helping us out on that one. I when I stepped away, I didn't know there was a pick 6. I thought they were still on the same drive.
Well, you want to run down I'll just run down the scores real quick. Giants win. They clinched their playoff spot. They utterly destroy 38-10 the Colts that, took us to the wire. But hey, we like having the idea of an NFL record on our list. The Washington Commanders lose. That opens the door, and now Green Bay is going to say, hey, we just need to win our last 2 games, and we're in the playoffs. The Eagles, as we talked about, lost 20-10 to the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans is keeping their playoff hopes alive. What a garbage division. Somebody in that division is going to win with an under 500 record. Lions destroy the Bears 41-10. Falcons end up coming back to win over the Cardinals 20-19. I believe it was a last-second field goal from what I was seeing, but I don't know that for sure. Buccaneers have 2 minutes and 18 seconds left. They have taken the lead 24-21 over the Panthers. If the Buccaneers win, they win the garbage NFC South, and the Panthers, Saints, they would be eliminated at that point. Right now, the Patriots are up 23-14 over the Miami Dolphins. 2 minutes left. Dolphins have the ball in New England territory, but they are down 9. And somehow, some way, listen to this. The Kansas City Chiefs are up only 3 against the Denver Broncos. Denver has it 4th and 2 at their own 45, are going for it. But what in the world are the Denver Broncos doing within 3 points of Kansas City? Explain that one to me.
I guess
that's all the win. That's all the.
I guess the Chiefs were frauds, right?
Yes.
I guess the Chiefs were frauds.
Fraudulent team.
Fraudulent team there. Yeah, that's yeah.
You ain't kidding.
How many times have we heard that when Buffalo barely loses to a bad team, or barely beats an average team, or the same goes with the Chiefs, and then we're the fraudulent ones just because we're not them. We don't have the poster boy quarterback that everybody loves and's got their rookie card, and Kirk Cousins.
I mean, he is a Super Bowl winning quarterback, so I mean, or are you talking about Josh Allen? Are you talking about Allen?
I'm talking about both of them.
Okay. I will give it to Mahomes. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You're right on Josh Allen, though. I mean, if you told me I could trade for him straight up with Cousins, of course I would take it because Josh Allen's younger. But you're right. He's only got 1 playoff win, just like Kirk. So, I mean, 2 at best. I'd have to look it up. But you're right, no. I mean, here's the thing that I said. I said, let's say the Vikings go in and either win a close game by 3, like they always do over the Green Bay Packers, or let's say they win comfortably, 17 or more. You know what they're going to do about the Minnesota Vikings? They're going to say, we were wrong all last week about the Packers, okay? They'll downsize all of the praise they gave them last week, and once again, we'll still be frauds because the Packers are bad. That's what's going to happen.
No,
You
after we
agree?
this is after we beat the Indianapolis Colts. I heard this on multiple news outlets.
Mm-hmm.
One, we were frauds, and the
Yeah.
other one, which was crazy, and you could say this, but this is how. Let me break this down. Kirk Cousins would have never done that last year, right? Nobody would have done it last year because it never had been done. That is the laziest take I ever heard of beating an NFL comeback record ever.
Yeah.
He would have never done that last year. Neither would have anybody else because nobody has ever done it, and it hasn't even been close in like 30 years.
Right.
So yeah, that's what kills me about.
He is far from the only one that would never
have done that last. You know,
I mean,
and then
in and of itself, the statement has a lot of truth to it, but it's a slanted truth if you don't include everybody else. Okay, so no.
Well, and then you say this. You say this too. He would have never done 8 comebacks last year. Well, no, only one person's ever done it, and that was Stafford. Yeah. So nobody. Yeah, he wouldn't have done it last year either. Even though he would have had 6 of what are our defense did up 2 end of the game. Scores that you would have had 6 last year, not 4. But hey, 4 is pretty good. 8's awesome. Nobody's done it before. So yeah, he's one of 2 people who's ever done it. So if anybody was going to be able to do it, it would have been him because he did it, right? So I'm like, the big difference between last year and this year is we do have a different mindset. We do have a different coaching staff. We getting out the ball, with 15, 20 seconds to go, and I believe I forget one of our guests. It was either Foreman or Kraus who had said that. Oh, it's Kraus. It's definitely Kraus. He says he had his foot, on our. I forget how he put it, but he had his foot on our necks the whole game or the whole season. He's not a big fan of Zimmer, and he made it known on our show. Right. So he felt like he had throttled the offense down the entire year, the entire game, and it showed because even in the weirdest times when we think we should be going for it, and no huddle, we're getting up there with 4 seconds coming on the clock, no adjustments, hike the ball and go. And now it's completely different. So what could we have happened what could these last 4 years have been like if we had, this GM and this, and this coach? I think Spielman would have been fine. I think Spielman would have probably been fine because I think he's done the same thing Kwesi would have did. Or Kwesi did. I think Kwesi did the same thing Spielman did. So I think we got like Spielman 2.0 right now. We'll see what he does this next season.
Right. We'll give him some more time. Yeah. Let me say this to you. Remember when we were talking earlier about, now ultimately I don't think it's going to matter because right now the Buccaneers are up 9 with less than 2 minutes to go. So the Buccaneers just kicked a field goal to make it a 2-possession game. But what did we say earlier? Long term, it's much better for the Carolina Panthers to lose their last 2 games, get to second 11, and get a top 10, top 12 pick. Because getting to the playoffs, they would be the sacrificial lamb against the Dallas Cowboys, right? In 2019, if the Vikings do not beat the Saints, the one playoff victory for Kirk Cousins, Mike Zimmer is 95% gone. And maybe Kevin Stefanski would have been at the same level. Now, again, what Kevin Stefanski has become in Cleveland notwithstanding, because you can't say absolute for certainty that Kevin Stefanski would have failed when he was still having Cousins and Thielen and maybe Diggs stays. It would have been awesome if Diggs had stayed and somehow you found a way to get Jefferson too. But nevertheless, keeping Mike Zimmer for 2 more years for what? You went 7-9 and 7-9 in meaningful games. So yeah, if I could go back, as much as we all cheered when Kyle Rudolph catches that, and as much as we thinking, okay, like 87, we went to New Orleans, maybe we can go to San Francisco and get to the NFC Championship game. It hurt the Vikings long term to win that playoff game. I'm not saying we should give it back. I'm not saying we shouldn't celebrate it, but let's call it for what it is now that it's played out. And
playing devil's advocate on that.
Sure.
It's led to where we are now.
That's very true.
It's like, that's absolutely true. If you're saying long term, even longer term, it may have worked out because we do have a Justin Jefferson. Mm-hmm. We do have an awesome left tackle. we got some cornerstones to work off. The whole offensive line's young, and we got a lot of pieces that we could build off. It's almost like the only thing we got to worry about going into this next season is find a little bit of a playmaker in the off, at receiver, which we may have. I want to see Jalen Naylor on this field. I think he's legit. I think he's super legit. Now he just hasn't got a chance yet because he's buried. Maybe add some competition offensive line. I think Bradbury might be gone. We might need to bring in even more well-rounded center. I think that would repair. I think that would, not to say anything bad about Bradbury this year, but still, I mean, our problem has been communication between the center and the right guard the entire season. Whether Bradbury was in there or not, there was some struggle there, even when they're both, going at it. I do think Ed Ingram's a long-term solution there. And I think if any place we could really legitimately upgrade, because I think Cleveland played really well this year, and that was his only second year playing in that position. Mm-hmm. All those things are good, but long-term, hey, it's 2 years later. We don't win that game. I'm not thinking that way, let's say, but I'm saying, hey, because that happened, we were able to get in the positions where we were. We got these two cornerstones of our offense that'll be there for hopefully 10 years. Right. And hey, I think we've increased our window. Instead of, we probably would have had to break it down. I know a lot of people, and you may have been one of them. I can't really remember. Was, hey, let's get Gardner Minshew, who just threw a pick six, or get Baker Mayfield. I don't think you'd said Baker Mayfield. Let's get him. Let's get him, or let's get Russell Wilson, who's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the league this year. Has he broken 14 touchdown passes yet? Just all these guys that were names that thrown, or what's his name in Cleveland, Watson. I'm like, all these names that were thrown around have had disastrous years or haven't played the entire season. And Baker Mayfield comes a redemption with the Rams and, won a couple of games, but all these names were out there were our future if we would have did what they did. But we went with what we knew. We added some pieces. Was it the competitive rebuild? Apparently that can work. I think it was moving all your chips into the table personally, not competitive rebuild. But
competitive rebuild was okay. Go ahead.
Well, I know. We had a strong. We had a strong group. Let's keep it. We can get that. We can get that Super Bowl. With still having this team together. I think we have a window. I think we even extended it one more year. I thought it was 2 years, this year and next year. I thought next year was going to be our big year, but I think we may have extended it to another year, personally.
I'm still of it's 2 years, this year and next year.
Well, I'm just saying because we can get rid of our dead, our expensive defensive players that are, older, and we could replace those with, cheaper solutions, or some of these guys like Asamoah stepping up, right. Things like that. I think if we can fix that in an Adam Thielen contract, I think our running backs replaceable with, the running backs we have behind him, so I just feel like we got those, that depth in the places where, hey, the age is starting to show. That's what I'm saying.
A couple of devil advocates your way. First of all, reminder that you got to pay TJ Hawkinson and JJ next offseason. So that's going to cut into some of the savings you're going to get by getting.
Are you saying next year's offseason?
No, I'm saying this year's offseason. You're not going to pay TJ. You don't
Hawkinson think
you're going to extend him?
Pay him? Well, you can extend him. I'm saying you can, but you don't have to, because he'll play 1 year for us.
I'm saying I doubt that they are going to try to play you got 1 year left on your deal, which is the 5th year option. And, we're going to just play it out and then we'll see where you are. They're not going to make TJ Hawkinson on a prove it year on a 1 year deal. They're not going to let him be a lame duck. They're going to extend him because they're going to want to try and lower their cap number from $9 million this year and spread it out moving forward. You're going to have to give JJ a bucket load of money. Now, again, same concept. You might be able to, backload the deal, and you're probably going to have to extend Kirk Cousins. So my only point now, I wasn't disagreeing with your overall point that there's room to be find a way to get younger. Absolutely. I don't know that this window is more than 2 years, and here's why. After this year and next year, Eric Kendricks, gone. Harrison Smith, 95% gone. Adam Thielen, unless he takes a lot less money,
well,
gone.
as you're doing it, can I say, you're saying Kendricks, well, Asamoah. You're saying Harrison Smith. I'm saying Lewis Cine. I'm just,
I'm not buying anything on Lewis Cine yet.
I mean, Harrison Smith got like a 60 PFF ranking. The only reason we think a lot of him this year is, it has to do a lot with his tip ball interceptions.
Player.
Yeah. His tip ball interceptions and the fact that he helps other players on the team. But, we also have another safety. What's his name? Jesus, 44. Metellus. So we have a guy that could step in, lower the cap. We can improve in other areas. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying those are two places that I was considering that we had heir apparents to. Go ahead.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that, to your point about winning that playoff game got us to where we are. Okay, winning that playoff game, if we don't win that playoff game, it does not change the 2020 draft. So if you trade Diggs, you still get Jefferson. It's not like Jefferson was a year later and being bad again is what we got him. No, we got him. So the class you have to say may or may not have been what it was the 2021 class. And that's the class that we took.
I'm just wondering, how can you say we're going to have Justin Jefferson when we would pick higher in the draft?
If we had lost the game against the Saints in the playoffs in 2019,
we would have picked.
We would have had a higher pick than the pick we ended up with. So the pick we ended up with, we got JJ. So obviously he would have been available earlier.
Just a question. So you don't think we would have went ahead and took Sauce Gardner, let's say, or if we were picking higher, you don't think 8 or 9 we stay where we're at, or we even move up?
That's a very good point. That's a good point.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know for sure.
No, you don't know for sure.
It could still would have happened. You could, because he does like to trade down. You could think that. That he does trade down. We're actually at a higher pick than where we picked Justin Jefferson, and we get him anyways, a little safer. And the same way with Darisaw. But that 2020 ones, those are different animals. But I know what you're saying about 2019.
All I was saying in that perspective is you're right. You can't butterfly effect everything and know precisely what it is. All I was saying is that the process that the Vikings have gone through between last year and this year, getting a new coach, getting a new GM, that process would have started 2 years earlier. That's all I was going with. Now, all I'm going to say about that is we're going to get ready to wrap up this. We're going to get back to this Packers game here. We'll talk about some key matchups and our predictions. All I'm going to say is everybody that is peacocking on Kirk Cousins and trying to slam Russell Wilson, let me give you a couple of examples. I got called out as a freezing cold take for a take I had almost literally a year ago when the question on the table is, would you trade Kirk Cousins and this year's first pick for Russell Wilson? Not Kirk Cousins and the slew of other picks that the Denver Broncos ultimately had to give up. But if we're going to credit Kevin O'Connell for unlocking Kirk Cousins, we have to take into account what would Kevin O'Connell have done with Russell Wilson? And most importantly, what would Kirk Cousins have done with that nincompoop coach that has already been fired in Denver? So before we start going peacocking about how it was just you wanted Russell Wilson, and look at Russell Wilson and how terrible he's been. Yeah, he's been terrible. He's been on a bad team. He's got a bad coach. Tell me what Cousins does with that coach. That's all I'm saying.
I just accidentally blocked somebody. You know how to unblock them?
No, you've got you're the host. I'm the guest. So who did you block?
Jay Jetta's Productions was blocked.
Oh no. I think if you,
I apologize, everybody.
Yeah.
Someone was saying, "Hey, I want to show me pictures of my girlfriend."
Yes, there was another one here that was legitimately blocked. Let's get back to some of the comments here. How can the Saints beat the Eagles and we lost? I don't know. Part of it is they didn't have Jalen Hurts. Part of it is at the time New Orleans was fighting for their playoff lives. Side note: the Raiders are up 7-0 against the 49ers. I mean, again, they went down and scored a touchdown on their first drive. We won't get too excited yet. Tampa Bay is about to eliminate. They're up by 6. They have the ball. They're just kneeling down at this point. So Carolina is eliminated. The New Orleans Saints is eliminated. The NFC South winner has finally been declared with the Buccaneers, so they're going to rest their starters next week. But I'm just saying about Russell Wilson and everybody peacocking about how Kirk Cousins is. I'm not taking anything away from Kirk. I'm not. I'm just saying Russell Wilson at the time, this time a year ago, was a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And at that point, his career was superior to Kirk Cousins. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think his year was superior to Kirk Cousins, though.
No, he was injured. And all I'm saying is, what does Kevin O'Connell do with Russell Wilson? That's all. What does he do with him?
Well, that's determining whether or not you. I mean, I sat here on a show with you and Thor talking about how Thor said something about rewiring. Like he didn't think he was capable of rewiring Kirk Cousins' mind, and then you both agreed that he had.
Either. I don't think so.
You guys both kind of agreed that somehow it was, that he completely rewired his brain to actually become. If you think that, why would he need to rewire Russell Wilson? Why he's doing what he did in Denver. He was Hall of Fame, potentially a Hall of Fame quarterback, right? I think everybody's going to say he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, but why would he need rewiring? Why would he need Kevin O'Connell? Like Kevin O'Connell can make him better. He did what he did in Denver. He's supposed to be, this Hall of Fame quarterback. That's all I'm saying there is that so Kevin O'Connell would have made Russell Wilson better?
No, Kevin O'Connell might have been able to take advantage of Russell Wilson's talents better than, what was the guy's name in Denver who used to be the Packers offensive coordinator, has already been fired? What's that guy's name? Hackett. Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett. I think Kevin O'Connell, if he's done this well with Kirk Cousins, you're right. He might have not have had to rewire his
look
brain,
what's happened to Aaron Rodgers after Hackett left
it's
the Packers.
It's unbelievable
so Hackett goes to Denver. Aaron Rodgers is having one of his worst years, and then Russell Wilson has a bad year in Denver under Hackett. So which is it? Is Hackett a bad a coach, or is he he doesn't know how to handle a quarterback now, or
No, I don't think it's just a one-to-one analogy. It's just like, think of it like this: if Russell, who is close to Justin Jefferson in Denver? Nobody. Who's close to TJ Hawkinson in Denver?
They were kind of talking about how Denver had good receivers going into the season, like they're going to have all these weapons.
Well, they said that about a lot of teams. They said the Packers weren't going to miss Devontae Adams. I mean,
well, that's that's ridiculous.
Yes, that was ridiculous.
Denver had better receivers than Green Bay.
Of course
I could say that.
No question. All I'm saying is that sometimes it's just, why did Michael Jordan not win a title before he got Phil Jackson? He's the same Michael Jordan, same Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen and Jordan were together for 3 years under Doug Collins and couldn't get it done. Phil Jackson comes in their second year, they win in 3 championships in a row. You going to tell me why? Was Phil Jackson that much better than Doug Collins that he got something out of Michael? I'm not saying he rewired Michael's brain, but he probably got him to think slightly different. Anyway, let's get back. We got 5 minutes left before kickoff. Let's get back to this game here. We've been gone on so many tangents here. Just win anyway. My worthless opinion. I agree with you. Wilson, yeah, he only got 12 touchdowns. I think we've nailed that point. The Packers can try. Oh, go back to that Packers can try. Was that one we've already read? Packers can try, but I think the Vikings are going to go on top. Because why the Packers are always too cocky. Oh, yes, we did talk about that one earlier. Well, as we wrap this up, because we're just gonna take another couple of minutes to give our final thoughts.
David
process.
got 12 TDs. That's crazy low.
That's 12. No, absolutely.
That's a bad season, man. It's a bad season.
Carolina has the ball at their own 7-yard line with 4 seconds left. If they can get one play or maybe a pass interference, they got a chance for a Hail Mary. So I may have been a slight touch too early to declare the Buccaneers the winners. San Francisco responded to Las Vegas's opening drive. It's now 7-7 there. Seattle scored on their first drive, I believe. Geno Smith went 3 for 3 with a 48 yards and a touchdown pass. So Seattle's up 7-0 over the Jets. We are cheering for the Seattle Seahawks, just because, well, you all know. Anything else you want to say in this game? What's your final score prediction? What do you got?
Oh, I think I said it was going to be 24-20. What did I say before? 24-21, I think I said. I could see 24-20, though. a couple field goals instead of a touchdown. They're at home. They know how to kick in the cold, I guess. So I'm saying 24-21 right now, but I'm feeling a little bit better than that. But every time I say that,
yes,
it
that's
ends
the
up
first
being
thing I
3
said.
points.
Let's circle back. I have felt
being 3
comfortable and
points.
confident all week. And I never feel comfortable and confident, particularly when it's in Lambeau Field. When it's in Lambeau Field, I'm expecting the worst things to happen. I'm expecting the refs to make some bullcrap calls. I'm expecting the Vikings to revert back, and then kind of like Philly and Dallas, they're just not able to put it together. And I don't feel that way right now. I feel confident they are going to win this game. But I felt confident in 1999, January. My brother and I were at the game with the Dirty Birds coming into our field and going to the Super Bowl against Denver. I was so supremely confident. So the only nerves I have right now is I'm nervous that I'm feeling too confident, because when I do that, they get smoked. But my final score prediction was 34-24. I got this a little bit more higher scoring than most people do. The reason I say that is, hey, first one to 31 wins. Get to 31 points. The Packers are going to put up, Aaron Rodgers is probably going to put up 400 passing yards against this defense. And the key defensively is do what you've been doing. Do a little more blitzing like you've done in recent weeks. Absolutely. But you're going to give up your yards. Just keep them out of the end zone. Make them kick field goals. Make them get 1 touchdown and 5 field goals like you did the Colts. And the Colts only got 14 other points off special teams and defense. Let the Packers move their yards, but just keep them out of the end zone. Offensively, get Dalvin Cook established immediately. Get some balls, JJ, of course, but Dalvin Cook needs to be more of a focal point, because the Packers defense, run defense, is not very good. I don't see a reason why the Vikings can't score 34 points in this game, but that's just me. I don't care. W either way. I don't care they win by 1 point or 10. It would be awesome to see them finally put it together and get a double-digit win, and then nobody will give us credit. They'll still call us frauds because they'll say that the Packers have been terrible all year, like I said. So I want to thank everybody who joined us, by the way. Thank you so very much. I don't know.
It looks like game time.
It is game time.
Let's go, Skull Vikings. Everybody, thank you for listening in.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Guys, share it. If you don't subscribe,
like and subscribe to Purple and Gold for Days. Make sure you click like and comment after you're done here. We still have that contest giving away a 44 jersey.
Hey, put David.
And we got a show. We got a Ted Glover coming on tomorrow. We're gonna have a special show at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. Make sure you check that out.
You say it like this. First off, can you put David's down so our channels get back up there again real quick?
Oh yeah.
So if you
Sorry.
Yeah, get rid of all of them. If you subscribe to me and you're tuning in on my channel, please go to Minnesota Sports Talk and subscribe to my buddy Dave, and vice versa. I will say it like this. We're both affiliated with the Purple Code. Normally, I am on Monday nights with Mike and Kyla. Normally, Dave is on Tuesday nights with Rap. And Dave is also on with me Tuesday nights on Under the Lights. Under the Lights is moving to Monday because that was the only day we could get Ted Glover, who is Viking podcast royalty. So if you do tune to the Purple Code, just keep in mind that Under the Lights with the two of us will be Monday, tomorrow. And Tuesday will be a doubleheader on the Purple Code with Skull for Days with Dave, Mike, and Kyla, leading into Skull Live with Dave and Rap. That being said, kickoff has already happened. The Vikings got the ball first. And, all right, the kickoff came back to the 32-yard line. So with that,
nice.
Thank you kindly, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the share buttons. And Skull Vikes, let's win this game.
Skull Vikes, let's go.